being punk is sort of a mentality. What you're doing for music is what's going to be what people are going to remember you by.
It is Alt 98.7, LA's alternative rock. I'm Alessandra, and this right here is Huddy. Welcome.
Hi, everybody.
Great pants.
Oh, thank you.
I love them. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. So you filmed a movie this year. You're recording a new album. Do you have any time to sleep?
Surprisingly, yes, but sometimes it's late nights for sure.
Yeah. So you've been teasing a lot this new era, Fragile, Vendetta, Burn the Ballroom Down. What do these run of songs symbolize to you right now?
I think it's just the ups and downs and the flows of just life right now as it is. Like sometimes I'm mad and it's Vendetta. Sometimes I'm like really vulnerable and it's fragile. I think it's just like it's like a spectrum of just different emotions and I like each of the singles kind of symbolize something different.
This era feels a bit more vulnerable. What is it that give you the confidence to show that different side of you?
Honestly, it took a Mac Miller quote that was talking about how he said the closer that, or like the more vulnerable that you are with your fans, the better an artist that you can become. Because if the less that you leave off of the plate, the more you're willing to talk about, the better product that's going to come out of it, the more authentic of a product. And so I really wanted to just open up about my life through music.
Was it scary to put yourself out there like that first?
Yeah, but at the same time, like I've lived with the music for so long that I was able to wrap my head around it. I think it's scary in the moment when you're writing it, but being able to sit with those feelings and come to terms with them because the music is really nice. Like it's very therapeutic.
And it must feel nice once it's out, right?
It's so nice once it's out. It's like, oh, that weight's off my shoulder.
Yeah. So Burn the Ballroom Down feels confrontational, but in a good way. You're like pushing back on power structures and industry standards and expectations. Was there a moment or a feeling that sparked the song?
I mean, I just feel sometimes that you kind of get treated like a trophy when you're in certain rooms.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's been some like big nights with the industries where I've felt like that on full display, where it's just like people don't even care to like kind of have a conversation.
Right. Like they don't see you.
And past like, oh my gosh, you're Huddy and
Right.
you're a musician. That's really cool. But that's where the conversation will die. And I'm just like, so that's, like I think it's like the same thing when you like go home for Thanksgiving and then all that sometimes your relatives will talk about is your job. And I know a lot of people like in different families like kind of see that. And I think that it's that same sort of feeling, but in LA it's like, well, what do you bring to the table and how can I benefit off of you? And I just don't really like that.
The title alone is a statement. So what does it mean that you're burning the ballroom down? What does it mean for you?
I think it's one of those things where you kind of take back the power that you've been giving like the industry and be like, no, like one thing that I realized is you don't necessarily need a label or $1 billion to put together something awesome. All you need is you and a computer and a few of your friends to make something that's incredible. And so I think a lot of it's just like take that power back to yourself and quit letting the people around you push you around and just be like, no, this is who I am. I'm not gonna change for you. And a lot of that kind of came from the industry just telling me over and over like you should be a pop artist, and I told them to their face I'm an alternative artist.
So it almost feels like this song in a way is like you drawing a line in the sand and say like, no, I'm my own person.
Yeah, and in a big way, a lot of the album is about drawing a line.
And speaking of making music with friends, Vic Fuentes, first of all, how did you know he was the right person for the track? Because your previous album, one of the people that you worked with was Travis Barker. It's a different era for you. How did you know Vic Fuentes was the guy for the song?
Well, I mean, I've been looking up to him for quite some time now, and him and I have been friends since around like 2020. But I think I like every year at the top of the year, I try to come in with just a really great concept idea and like flesh it out. And so I had like gone home for Christmas and really like thought about, okay, what's this gonna be? because I had asked Vic in December of like 2022. I was like, would you be down to get in a studio session with me? Or 2023? I don't know. But I asked him that, and then he said yes, and he drove up from San Diego. I made sure I had a great concept for him, and I have these just like wild kind of ideas that sound crazy until you've written the song. And I think with Burn the Ballroom Down, it was just like that title that spoke to me at the time. And I'm really obsessed with like old kind of medieval sort of sayings, but bringing them into like a reality. And so that was what we ended up accomplishing.
I saw that you were sitting on this for like since 2024, beginning of 2024.
Yes, yeah, out in 2023 in like December. We made the song at beginning of the year. Yep.
Yeah.
But when I make like the first song I make every year has been like something that's really surprised me. The year before I wrote a really great song that I still haven't released, but I still really love it. But it was like it's the concept and those ideas that I get once I have like those 2 weeks off,
Yeah.
which like surprisingly like the Christmas and New Year's weeks are like the only 2 weeks off that you get out of the year, and so I really try to like take that time and let like a thought marinate and build, and this is kind of what we came up with.
What was it like working with him? Because like you've been looking up for him for a while. I'm sure Pierce the Veil is a really big band in your name. And what was it like, or what did you learn from him that has made you different as an artist?
Honestly, what I learned is that being punk is sort of a mentality. What you're doing for music is what's going to be what people are going to remember you by. And so I think you have to put it all into the music and less so like an aesthetic, I think, for people. And so I really took that and let that marinate with me. But also he just shows me that a song can like, there's endless possibilities with music. And sometimes like you can keep building off of an idea and you can keep like writing these songs. Sometimes he takes like anywhere between like 6 months to 2 years just to like make like 2-3 songs.
It's crazy.
It's really crazy. Like I remember when I first met him, he was showing me music that he had been working on for a few years, and he was just like, "Do you have any ideas of what to do here?" I'm just like,
Oh, that's wild.
"Oh, this isn't done. Okay, like this feels pretty dope." Hey, Mr. Fuentes, you know better than I do. Who, me?
So was it sonically these last 3 songs feel a bit heavier? Was that on purpose? Was that conscious, or was it just something that's kind of flowing naturally out of you now?
I think it's something that's flowing naturally out of me now. Like there was a different direction I wanted to take with this album, and a lot of it was guitar driven and like that slower kind of just punchier kind of drums with the music. I think it just has a really different approach for me, and I love it. Like I think that's where I sit the best vocally and sonically.
Is this the real Huddy then?
Yeah, I think so. Like it took me a while to come up with like who Huddy is and what that tone looks like. Feel like I needed to come up with some sort of a signature sound. I think that kind of came from like the tone and the lyricism, and I think the production is something that can keep people on edge and be something new every time.
Given that there's been such a vibe change from your first album to this one, your first album was like pop punk nostalgia, and like, you know, a lot of people that you worked with kind of reflect that. Has the songwriting process changed from then to now for you?
Yeah, I think that one thing I really stepped into was being heavier into like the storytelling aspect of music. I really like painting a picture, and I feel like I take this approach that's almost like I'm setting up a movie scene when I'm making a song, and I really want all of the pieces of the puzzle to be there for it to feel complete. And yeah, so I took a reapproach at like how I was songwriting, and wanted more to say.
You said before that you try not to make the same song twice. Do you feel like an internal pressure not to do that now when you're in the studio, to like really like push yourself creatively, or how does that work for you?
I mean, I just don't go back into like the mindset of like, oh, I made this song, it's so special, and so I should make more things like it. Like I think using or like pulling like a production reference and being like, hey, this is kind of like sonically the direction we should be going in. But I also think like doing that with music that's already released is more of a no-no than like stuff that's unreleased. But I try to pull from references that sound nothing like anything that I've made, to
That's really
also see just like how big the wingspan can be within my own musical terms, and seeing how far it can expand.
Of course. I think that's something that a lot of artists fall into. They get a lot of pressure from whoever it is to make another hit like the one they made. So they're like, okay, great, now recreate this. So it's definitely tough to be pushing your own boundaries and not letting any of that noise really get in your head.
Yeah, it's tough, but I also think like it's sometimes it's hard to recreate that moment, and it's not something that fans look away from. That like they're like, oh, I've heard this before, and I think that's also how you put yourself in a box too, because in a way, you're just kind of doing what the people tell you to do.
Yeah. You talked about just now painting a picture. I see that you're putting a lot of effort into these music videos, and they're awesome. I watched Vendetta and Fragile. It's so cool, especially Vendetta. I freaking love that. So, why is this round, this new era, if you will, so special in terms of visual storytelling for you? Is it tying into the music as well?
Yeah, I think it is tying into the music and telling a story within its own rights. It's also really cool because each music video leaves you on a string note of what the next one is, in the same way that like an episode will leave you on a cliff note.
Right.
And so there's a tie between all of the music videos, and they might feel or seem like different worlds, but they're all kind of within the same storyline. There is Easter eggs, like every ending is going to be the same beginning as the next music video. I don't know if they figured that out yet, but
Do we have a date for Burn the Ballroom Down?
we didn't know it was going to be a single, so we filmed all the music videos for the album way in advance. And now that we've kind of come to terms with this was going to be our next single, it took us to get out of a label deal to be able to put the song out and just kind of restructure how we were going to take the album.
Well, you know what? That's kind of cool though, because now when you make the music video, it kind of has to fit into this puzzle that's already been built, and you have to intertwine the stories
Yeah,
in some way.
I wanted to keep people on their toes. This was actually more of a song that I wanted to be like, you know what? Here's this song. It's been long enough, and my hands have been tied from releasing music as much as I would like to this year, and so this was like a gift to the fans.
So a couple months back, you did the summer school tour. That seemed like that was really fun.
It was this summer.
What did you learn about yourself as a live performer doing that?
One thing that I learned, well, I already kind of knew this, but like watching other people's live performances will always benefit yours. I don't think you should watch it with like jealousy or envy, but I think you should watch it just be taking notes. I think there's a lot to learn from every single artist, performance wise, but I also learned just how I was responding to how my body was feeling in a lot of ways. I feel like this is the first tour where I didn't have a vocal rest day. I was taking things easy on my body, and I was figuring out what works for me and on my like eating schedule, I guess, on tour. I was really listening to my body with this tour, and like other times there have been, like times where I just wasn't taking care of it as much.
Who are you listening to right now? Is there an artist that like you can't stop playing?
This year I actually discovered the Marias at Coachella, and they ended up being my top Spotify song.
Which one?
Real Life, which is a banger.
I mean, they're all.
So I watched the Marias play at Coachella, and then the next day I listened to every song in their discography. So I was like, I'm going to keep playing this until I find one song I don't like. Played their whole discography. They're all amazing. So that's definitely been like the artist of the year for me. And I've been going back and listening to all the Oasis records.
So was there an artist like Oasis or like someone that is unexpected that influenced you this new album?
Yes. There is a lot of like classical music. I was really heavily inspired by the violin, which is like you're starting to get the first taste of violin, but you'll start to see different instruments that you haven't heard me use in my music with this album, like harp, cello, violin, just all of the strings. I've been really trying to use a lot of that, just because I've been listening to like the Dean Martins, the Frank Sinatras, like the old French music, old just like 40s, 50s, 60s kind of jazz and everything. So that's been like a strange inspiration for me as well.
What's your favorite Frank Sinatra song?
It's called Autumn Leaves.
I love American Beauty Rose.
I know that one.
God, you have to. It's the best. It's like about, all these women that he likes, but they're all named after flowers.
Oh,
So it's like a metaphor. And at first you don't get it, and then you're like, oh, okay, I know what this is about, but it's a great song. It's so good, and it's lively, and it's beautiful. Yeah.
did he use the names Daisy,
Of course. Lily,
Rose?
Rose, of course.
Sure.
Yeah, all the flowers that are names that aren't too awkward.
Magnolia.
For someone who only knows you from the TikTok era and haven't heard Burn the Ballroom Down yet, what would you want them to know about you as an artist now?
I think that there's a song for everybody on this album, and I'm trying different things. I think that there's some romance, there's some pain, there's some rage, there's some rebellion, there's some just life-changing sort of advice I was telling myself
Yeah.
throughout this album. There was a lot of grief as well with this project that I went through, and I think if you relate to any of those things, you will find a piece of yourself in my music.
When people hear the album in full next year, what do you hope they feel when the last song ends?
I think it's one of those moments where they sit back in their chair and they're like, wow. Because it's an emotional journey. I want them to just be like distraught, but also,
Yeah. You want them to have that oof moment.
yeah,
Yeah.
that moment where they are like, I love it, but I need to take my time with it and really learn to understand it and look into it deeper. But also, I just hope there's a takeaway for everyone.
Yeah. Huddy, congrats on everything.
Thank
For the Ballroom Down is out now. How to Lose a Popularity Contest is out January 16. We're excited for what's next. Thanks for joining us.
Bye, guys.